Let's start
Mhm.
today's class. See, we are left with this last part, right? Computer assisted audit techniques.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here, certain controls relating to the input processing. Okay, basically, see what does this means and stands for? Because now, in today's time, most of the accounting is being done with the help of technology, or you can say on like you know uh, on computers. So the task of audit has also changed, fine. And now that auditing also had to be hand in hand with the accounting process. Like for example, when everything was on pen and paper, you could have you can ask for evidences. Where is the receipt? Where is the bill? These are called vouchers, fine.
Mhm.
So you can found the voucher and match it with the actual transaction which was written in pen and paper, and somebody has done all the work, fine. Now
Yeah.
in computer, like creating vouchers in computer, right, can also be manipulated. So how smart you have to be as an auditor to understand, all right, the system, because until and unless you understand the system, you will not be able to perform your duty of audit. Like the double entry system was easy. First you write the journal. For the journal there should be an evidence. Okay, so there should be a voucher, receipt, something, some receipt payment. So what is the evidence for that? Then the next thing is journal, then ledger, then trial balance, and then the final account. So that was the whole system. Now here see, certain controls relating to the input processing and output of the data are internal to the system. They should be tested by procedures that are not traditionally performed in a manual environment. Fine. In a manual environment, we don't have to check those procedures. Okay. Good evening, Osama.
Yes, hi Dhanwas. Good evening.
Okay. Fine. So let's quickly get over with this before I also start fainting. Okay.
Okay.
Computer assisted audit techniques. All right. I was saying, like, we just have started. Fine. I was saying that
Yes.
since the procedure of accounting has changed, now it has become more technology oriented. The audit
Yes.
work also has to follow. Fine. And the main thing here is, like, in normal audit, you will check the vouchers, you will check the journal entries, the dates, and all that stuff. It is
Mhm.
not possible to do that in the same way in the computer. Fine. So because in the computer, the vouchers will also be generated simultaneously when you do the journal entries. Fine. So if
Yes.
you are making a mistake in the journal entry, most probably you have already made the same mistake in the voucher also. All these things are not done separately, right? Like, the guy who is sitting on the sales counter, he is just making the bill, selling the stuff. All right. So you have purchased this many units, this is the rate. This many units, this is the rate. He is feeding that. The inventory control is being done through that only. That entry only is deciding the inventory control. The journal entry is also dependent on that. So now the accounting system is changing, fine, because of the technology. So same way the audit method also have to change. Now see, certain control relating to controls, all right, some checks you need to put in, some tests, controls relating to input processing and output, the three main functions of the computer, fine. Output of data are internal to the system. They should be tested by procedures that are not traditionally performed in manual environment. Such techniques have been characterized as auditing around the computer or auditing through the computer, fine. So, to some extent, that summarizes the whole feel of this segment. Now, auditing around the computer, what are the main things that you should see and do and see? Is not appropriate when systems are sophisticated or the major controls are included in the computer programs. Fine. It may be appropriate for very simple system that produce appropriate printed outputs. So auditing around the computer, fine, is good when you are for simple systems, for small firms where half of the work is, it is kind of semi automatic. Fine, printed outputs and all those things you have. Now the auditor manually processes transactions and compares the result with the client's computer processed results. So auditing around the computer, with the help of the computer you are doing this. Through the computer means the entire audit work will also be done through the computer itself.
Okay.
Okay, because only a small number of transactions can ordinarily be tested, the effectiveness of the test of control must be questioned. The computer is treated as a black box and only inputs and outputs are evaluated. Fine. Basically, what they're trying to say is like generally in a small form when we do audit, all right. So it's very simple. We because there what is happening, half of the work is manual, half of the work is computerized. Okay, they will still maintain the receipt book. So when they are receiving money, they will write on that. When they are paying, they will write on that, and then they will do the journal entry in the let's say some accounting package. Let's say they are using Tally. So if you have to audit, the first thing is give me a print of your PL and the balance sheet, fine, and then give me a print of your Tally and from sorry from your what is that called, trial balance. I'm saying Tally, fine. So you take these three things and from there you start your audit and then you work your way back. Whatever you want you can check from there. Okay, auditing through computer is going to be a little bit more complex because that is concurrent auditing uses the computer to test the processing logic, fine, and controls within the system and record produced. Concurrent auditing techniques include the following. Now processing test data, parallel simulation, generalized audit software, data extraction techniques, all of these things has to be tested. See, processing test data means take some of like or you create your own transaction and check it, run it through the system and see how it is affecting all the places. Fine. Parallel simulation is the same thing, same kind of software. I mean, copy it in some other system and you run a parallel simulation on that parallel kind of test. So same transactions and stuff you put there and see where the effects and impacts are going. So you can do that on a parallel system. Generalized audit software, if like for example Tally is I think a general audit software kind of thing, fine. So in this case, see what is happening, that it's not company specific, fine, it's a generalized kind of thing. Okay, then we have data extraction and all these techniques, how you are going to extract the data, programming embedded audit modules, fine. So now CAT may be systems or transaction based or may provide automated method for extracting and analyzing data. In this system of computer uh, authorized audit programs, what was that, audit techniques, assisted computer assisted audit techniques. All right, now here see, maybe a system or transaction based, it may be a system based or maybe a transaction based. Maybe you are checking the system, all right, or checking the system means the procedure, if I write this journal entry, the impact will go where, how is it going to be recorded. Because see, I hope you will understand this, that most of the companies, most of the big companies or whoever can afford it, they have their own accounting softwares, fine. The small firms, they use the generalized ones. They use they'll buy this Tally or Accord or something like that. Peachtree I think also is for accounting, fine. So
Yes.
now in this case, if you are doing an audit of a company who is using its own system, own software, so the first test that you have to do is you have to test the system itself, fine. Or you can run a transaction and check where this, how this transaction is being posted, so that you can understand transaction based testing. All right, you can understand how this application is working, fine. Or automated methods for extracting and analyzing data. Now, test data consists of a set of dummy input containing both good and bad data elements. This approach subjects auditor created data for to the client's program. Fine. Basically, you will write some correct things and see how it is being impacted, some wrong things, and you will see that it how if you are doing some wrong journal entry, it should be evident. The system should be able to catch it, or the impact should be clear. If it is not clear, then there is something in the system which is taking its own decision. Because see, we are talking about technology here, right? So programs can be written in many ways. Okay. Now the auditor can assess the controls embedded in the application by observing whether the good data are correctly processed and how well the system handles the bad input. This is what we were discussing, right? Good data is correctly processed or not, and if we are putting some wrong things, is it coming is it being highlighted separately that there is something like this, the instruction is not correct or something like that. Test data must never be mingled with real data, or otherwise it will be a problem. Simple stuff. Parallel simulation subject client data. Subjects, like parallel simulation subjects the client data to auditor created programs. So the auditor will take your data and he will feed in some his own programs, and he will see the outcome of that. I again don't know. Have you guys because I have used Tally, so I can give you an example from there. Okay, when you will open the Tally software and you will create some accounts for a company, fine. There will be one folder. Now you from the documents you will get into the documents folder. You will get into the Tally folder, and from there you can copy that folder. Fine, of this new company. You can go in any other computer, all right, and if you just copy paste that that folder, you can access the same details that you have put here from that computer. All right, now see here, what we are talking about is parallel simulation. Means you will take the client data, so you will take the folder of the client and you will put it in some other programs. Fine. So maybe you have made some your program or some audit related program where you will put the file and you will try to open from there, so that you can see the audited stuff, that whatever is the the difference from the original output which we have got, like the balance sheet, PL, has that changed or not. So it has been through an automatic check through this program. The goal is to determine whether the data are subjected to the process that the client claims the application performs. The client is saying that this is what the application does. So it does the same stuff or it does something else. This is what I was telling you, that when every company is having their own application, own system, how will you do the checking until unless you know the system? Fine. So this is one way. You copy their data, put it in some some universal auditing kind of program, and you can check it from there. Parallel simulation requires the auditor to have a considerable technical knowledge. All right, and that is why I think we have some in CIA also. There is one segment for this. Then there are different CISA, I think CISA.
Yes, CISA, yes. System
CISA
auditor.
system, yeah, system auditor. So I don't need to check that, right? Fine. So you have these kind of like programs and these kind of what do you say, courses
Tools.
coming out now, like not courses, accreditation, I can say. Fine.
Certifications.
Certification was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, so now generalized audit software, that is GAS packages, allow the auditor to load a copy of the client's production data onto the auditor's own computer and perform various analytical procedures. Fine.
Yes.
So this is a software which is especially for audit.
Mm.
Okay. Then spreadsheet analysis. Electronic spreadsheets such as Excel permit easy analysis of huge amount of data. Fine, using what if scenarios. So you copy the data, extract it on Excel, and then you can do your own stuff to find out whatever you want to check. Okay.
Yes.
Integrated test facility is the approach. The auditor creates dummy files on the client's live production system. The objective is to determine whether the real-time system contains adequate controls or not. Fine.
Mm.
So
This
if
is
I
also
can,
system testing.
system testing only. There is also system testing only. Fine. Then an embedded audit module is an integral part of an application system. It is designed to identify and report actual transactions and other information that meet criteria having audit significance. So basically, embedded audit module is, there are some, there are some information which is very unique or required, very essential for audit significance. These informations have audit significance, important from audit point of view. Fine. So there will be embedded audit modules, some extra like updates kind of stuff. Fine. Which is which relates to this audit. Fine. Which will be is an integral part of an application system. So in the application only, we'll have one more function added, which is this audit module, which will highlight and report, fine, about the audit, like about those informations which are important from audit point of view. That is embedded audit module. Fine. An advantage of that is it permits continuous monitoring of online real-time system. The disadvantage is that audit hooks must be programmed into the operating system and application programs to permit insertion of audit modules. Like generally when you make an application or something, it is like it is ready, right? And then you install it and use it. Now here this is what they are saying, that whatever program you are using, there must be enough, like it must be created in such a way where these insertions are possible. Fine. Where you can upload this audit module, take your data, like whatever you want. Fine. All the audit significance data and reports will be sent to you, and then you can again take this out and leave it the way it was. Fine. Because it's not required 24 like every day, right? 365 days we don't need that audit module. So you can, the program should have an option where these kind of additions and deletions are possible. Application tracing uses a feature of the programming language in which the application was written. Tracing aids computer programmers. Okay, application tracing. Okay, uses a feature of programming language in which the application was written. Fine. So this tracing aids computer programmers in following the step-by-step operation of a computer program source code. It can be used by auditors for the same purpose. Again, this is done for understanding the system better, right?
Yes.
System mapping is similar to application tracing and simple and system mapping, but mapping is performed by another computer program instead of by the auditor. So mapping will be done through another computer program, not by the auditor himself. Application tracing will be done by the auditor himself. Fine. Storage controls, where the data is being stored, what controls do we have there, and how we can try to save it from getting manipulated or checked or changed. Fine. So program documentation is the first storage control. Complete up-to-date documentation of all programs and associated operating procedure is necessary for efficient operation of an information system. Maintenance of programs is important to provide for continuity and consistency of data processing services to user. Okay, I lost it somewhere in this. Fine. So complete up-to-date documentation of all programs and associated operation is necessary for efficient operation of the system. Okay, maintenance of program is important. So what do they want to say here? They have just said how important program documentation is. Okay, we know that. So, fine. Maintenance of program is important to provide for continuity and consistency. Okay. Dual write routines. Program documentation, I think all they want to say is that in the program, whatever data you are feeding in, all right, all of that has to be complete, up to date, and the maintenance of this program is also important, which should be done on continuous basis. Fine. Dual write routines, the data can be stored in two separate physical devices, all right, usually magnetic HDs, so that the mishap to one does not destroy the organization's data set. Fine. So dual write routines, especially important in this regard, is the technology known as RAID, and spooling refers to sending data to an intermediate storage that is accessible by the peripheral device when needed. For example, print files are spooled to an intermediary storage for the printer to access when it is ready to print. Fine. So like this is again one kind of like method of dual write routines, and there's a good example they have given. When you send some file, all right, so it is already saved somewhere in the printer, so that once it is free it will print your paper, right? So that is how, like, a temporary copy is created. This is why we need in our laptop or in our computer we need RAM. Fine. HD is like, how much of hard disk is there, how much space is there, that is okay, but we need high amount of RAM, like 4 GB, 2 GB, 4 GB, and now there, I don't know, like there is too much more than this. I think we are having phones with 8 GB RAM, so forget about laptop and computer. Fine. The idea of this is what? When you are opening a website, there is temporary 2-3 pages which are getting downloaded in your RAM. And then even if the internet goes off, you can see those 2-3 pages. After that, it will show internet connection error. Correct? So, like, when you are surfing or when you are doing something, some part of that, like, a small portion of that is temporarily saved. Validity checks hardware that transmits or receives the data, compares the bit in each byte to the permissible combination to determine whether they constitute a valid structure. I like, this bit and byte, please byte it and understand. Validity check is normal, like, it is valid or not. Maybe they're talking about the passwords and all that stuff, but I don't know. This bit and byte thing. Physical control, mounting hard drives in physically secure rooms and storing portable media in locked storage area are vital for the preventing the compromise of confidential data. Right? Obviously, physical control means physically you are trying to save things. So how you can do that by, like, putting the hard drives or the CPUs in a room where access is not permissible to everybody. Snapshot copies of often used data files are sometimes made to allow a file to be used while it is being backed up. All right, so this is a kind of a snapshot copy. So when the files are being, like, backed up, at that point of time also you can keep on using it. The risk is that such a file may not be current. Fine. Anyways, the point is, I think this is weird because, like, if you're already backing up something, then why are you working on it? All right, leave it, take 2 minutes, let it, like, let it sink, and then do what you have to do. Fine. It is already, like, getting copied, and then you start changing the file. Maybe then the new change, whatever you have done, all right, may not be recorded in your copied file. Cloud computing, fine, these days very, like, popular. Fine. So this is what organizations are relieved to the need to manage the storage of both application and data, because all the software and data they need are located on the internet. Fine. So whatever you want, it's already there on the internet. So there is no point saving it with you. Cloud computing is basically defined as the standardized IT capability delivered via the internet in the pay-per-use self-service way. Moral of the story is that, like, you don't have to keep things on your hard disk. All right. If you can save it in some space, for example Google Drive, right, they're giving you 25 GB of space, so you just upload things whatever you want in your Google Drive, and then you can access it from any computer which is connected to internet. That is easy, right?
Yes.
Don't have, but then again, see, whenever there is something which is easy and convenient, it comes with a cost of privacy.
Yes.
Advantages of cloud computing include lower infrastructure investment and all that. Easy. Disadvantage of cloud computing include less control than over an internal IT department, more difficulty ensuring data security and privacy. Fine, and less compatibility with existing tools and softwares. So with the existing tools and software not too compatible. Fine, this is business continuity planning. We already did this in the last class. Fine, so let's close this one. Go here. Let's have a look on this. Okay. So information system and data governance. Also framework, internal control and data governance. Good, at least something. Okay. So this is now what we are going to do, and there is again 15%. Fine. So important stuff. Accounting info system. Okay. So now let's take how much? 7:44 it is. All right. We'll start at exactly no 7:50. 5 minutes. All right. 5 minutes off, so that get over with that cat, and then we'll start with the information system stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Five
What is the
minutes.
weightage for this one?
What is
15
the
to 6?
weightage?
Weightage.
Weightage. So see, 15 and 16, both the chapters 15%.
Okay. Okay. So see you then.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Start. See, technology and okay, information system and data governance. Fine. So first thing is
Can you
accounting.
share screen?
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Arey,
Can you share the screen?
I haven't shared, right? All right. Now let's start from here. See, accounting information system. A management information system typically receives input from a transaction processing system. Okay. Aggregates it, then reports it in a format useful to middle management in running the business. All right. Now, basically, we cannot talk about AIS, MIS, okay, and ERP, fine, without all these things. So first, let's discuss what is ERP. All right. So in information system and especially in ERP, enterprise resource planning, what happens is, see, all the departments, fine, they have their what to say, output device, or maybe like they will have their input devices basically, fine, and they will feed in the data. For example, the sales team, all right, they are doing the sales, all right, and they are like putting the numbers in the system that this many units have been sold. Now that information is getting recorded in the ERP also, fine, and HR guy will have no access to this information, all right, but the production department, fine, the inventory department, they will have an information, I mean they will have an access to this information. So all of these routes and channels are created in this ERP. All of these routes and channels, that which department, which individual, like uh, which profile can have access to these informations. All right. Now depending on this whole system, because here we have finance department, you have operations department, so all these departments are feeding in data constantly and they are taking out information from here. For example, sales department, before selling or before getting into a contract, okay, before getting into a contract, they don't have to talk to production guys that okay, how many units you have produced, I want to sell 100 units, fine. They don't have to talk to inventory that do you have these units with you or not, fine. Why? Because all they do is they'll open their system, they'll see that this product is available or not, and they will get that information from the system itself. So basically the information is flowing everywhere and to everyone through this system, ERP, fine. And who will get what information, that depends on the coding done in the program itself. Okay. Now accounting information system. So in like the information systems which are based on accounting providing information, fine. So the first one is a management information system, fine. Now what does this does, it typically receives input from a transaction processing system. So this is again TPS, we must be having it somewhere. Yeah, here it is, transfer processing system, TPS. Whatever transfers are being, whatever transactions are being done or are being reported, are being put into the system, this MIS will get its data from there, then they will aggregate it, fine. So if you want to know what is the monthly sale, it will take all the transactions on sales, add them together, then report it in a format useful to middle management, fine. So you can feed in this information, that what kind of information you want. You want it as a pie chart, as a bar chart, as a paragraph, okay, in running the business. So that is how it will present it back to you. An information system is an essential part of the company's value chain. For this reason, MISs are often classified by function or activity such as the following. Alright, so these kind of management information systems are divided on these bases, basically department basis. See, accounting department, so all this general ledger, receivable, they are all part of this. Finance department, so capital budgeting, operational budgeting, cash management, all of these are finance department works. All right, so if these kind of reports, pay attention, if these kind of reports are being generated from the transactions that were input, like see transaction process, fine. So from the normal transactions, if these kind of things are being projected or are being done, that is financial information system, or MIS for finance department, fine. Production planning, cost control, so all of that is from manufacturing. Then logistics, inventory management and transport planning, fine. For HR also, see, projecting payroll, projecting benefits, obligations, employment level planning, when how much of employment is required, all of that can be informed through human resource department, HR department. These single function system, often called stovepipe systems, because of their limited focus. So you can underline this stovepipe system because they can ask what's a stovepipe system, fine. Are gradually being replaced by integrated system that link multiple business activities across the enterprise, fine. This was one-on-one kind of stuff, right? Now here the most comprehensive integrated system is termed as ERP, fine. Basically these are all like, you feed in the system will take the information, process it in a certain way and give it back to you, fine. So you can do that from accounting point of view, you can do that from finance department point of view, like this. All right, otherwise if you want an integrated system which is connected, like the one that we had here, it's all connected, right? It's not that we have a CPU, you feed in the data and this will process it, fine, and then give you something in return. All right, so all the things that we did earlier was like that. An accounting information system is a subsystem of an MIS that processes routine, highly structured financial and transaction data relevant to financial as well as managerial accounting. An AIS is composed of the general ledger, financial reporting system, management reporting, MRS, and transaction processing system. This is what,
Isn't
like,
built in the ERP,
what?
this accounting information system,
Yeah,
isn't it built already in the ERP?
it is already in the ERP. Is this what you are saying?
Yes, yes. Or it's a separate model.
No, no. See, ERP is a combined system. Fine, it is
Okay.
an integrated system. This is
Yes.
again, we are talking about, like, one kind of stuff. So you have one system where you are feeding in some data and that is giving you in return a report. Fine,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
only for your, like, requirement, as per your
Oh,
requirement. And they
okay.
are saying that accounting information system is also a type of MIS. MIS and ERP are different.
Okay.
Okay, and now they are saying that, see, and AIS is composed of, accounting information system will be composed of what? General ledger, financial reporting systems, FRS, management reporting system, fine, transaction processing system. Basically these are the things. See, transaction processing system means how a transaction will be processed. So you will feed in which format. For example, again I can give you an example of Tally. If you're paying somebody, there is already a button which shows payment. So you click there, it will open up, you just write how much money and to whom. Now the computer, I mean the system, will understand that what has happened. They will all themselves, like, the process, the system will create the journal entry, like Mr. So and so account debit to cash, fine, and then the relevant ledger, trial balance, everything will be done accordingly, fine.
Okay.
That is your transaction processing system. Now the reporting system, so here you will have to put some information, right? That we are expecting that the growth will be equal to the last 5 years of growth, fine. So the system, management reporting system, will take all these informations, process the data that you have fed in, All right. And then finally it will make a report, because see, all these that we are talking about, fine, finance, capital budgeting, is it about the past or about the future? The production planning, about the past or about the future? Planning is always about the future, right? Transportation planning, sales analysis and forecasting, all of this is about the future. Fine. So
Yes.
normally here also in my example which I was talking about, see, we are talking about like, day-to-day activity, right?
Hmm.
So every day you guys are feeding in data. So actually, currently when we did this discussion, we were talking all about the past. You will get the historic data only, correct? Not the future data. Fine. But in this system, if we have already put some, like, some applications, some programs, some codes we have written where if the management requires, all right, some forecasting to be done, fine, and they have fed in the rules of the forecasting. They have already, given the rules of the forecasting. One second. Oh. Yeah, okay, where is it? Yes. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, like if we have already fed in those programs, those codes, which will take the number of sales for the last 3 years and it will do some CAGR calculation, compounded annual growth rate, and it will take the last year growth and multiply by the same number. So that is the forecasted sale for the future, correct?
Yes.
But that information will be sent only to the manager as a PDF, or I mean as an email. The information will be sent, correct? In the email they'll make some, if required, a diagram will be presented or whatever. All of those rules have to be fed in the system, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Now the general ledger FRS, what do they is concerned with the transaction with external parties. See, general ledger is our normal, like the general ledger from accounts that we use. All right. So from the external parties reflected in financial statement prepared. So it should be in conformity with the gap and all that. MRS provides information useful to decision making and internal management. All right, including internal activities, recording, cost accounting, preparation related to reports and all that. So TPS is a system that performs a routine transaction. We already discussed all this. Now coming to accounting cycles. The accounting processes can be described in terms of 5 cycles: sales to customers on credit and recognition of receivable, that is first part. Second, collection of cash from customer receivable, purchases on credit and recognition of payable, payment of cash to satisfy trade payables, payment of employees for work performed and allocation of costs. Payment of employees for work performed, and see this one, allocation of cost. This is a very important term. All right. And I don't know how much you will understand this one, allocation of cost, because see, when, like, for any work, because this is how the HR department actually, like, they work, they record the hours and all that. Or let's say the supervisor of a work, fine, supervisor. If you are getting a task, if you are the team leader or the supervisor, then you have to see, you have to also write like what, how much of the resources you are using. Like for example, when I was in PwC, all right. So my team leader, my like assistant manager, we were a team, like, so he has to allot work, fine. So he will get the work from the system, like all the clients, they will put their requests, fine. Then there will be somebody here who will be like, segregating the work and transferring the work as per the capabilities. So like, if we were UK team, fine. So my team leader will get all the UK related work. That work will be transferred to us. And then what we'll do is how many hours we have spent on this work, we will, like, feed in the system. All right. the client will already have mentioned that I am giving you, like, let's say 10 hours for this. So basically that means in 10 hours this work should be done. Fine. However hours we are spending, these hours will be charged to the client. These hours, the total of these will be charged to the clients. Again, the system was, if we think, like, the team leader will evaluate, if the work he is getting is more than 10 hours, he will get back to them and ask them to talk to the client. This will take more hours. If they agree, then we will do the work, otherwise leave it there. All right. If we think, at times this used to happen that, like, the work is for 2 hours or 3 hours, but the client is giving us 20 hours. So these were the kind of buffers which we used to enjoy. Anyways, so see, at the end, for that one particular client, all right, it will be mentioned that who are the people, how many hours they have spent, so the total is so many hours, and these hours will be charged to the client. Fine. Like, this hour multiplied by whatever rate, we never knew that rate. So our task was that whatever work you are doing, fine, go into the system and find this file, this work, and, like, put your hours there. How many hours you have worked, you just put it there. Okay. So that is how this work was being done. And yeah, back to this accounting cycles is what we were discussing about. Okay, we were talking about this allocation of cost, right? Allocation of cost. So this is how the cost is basically segregated. See how much of this cost, like, how is this cost made up of? How did you come to this number? Fine. So for every particular task, like, you may have done this in job costing. Fine. How much of material was issued to this job? How many laborers were placed for this work? Then how many laborers were transferred from this job to another once their part was done? Fine. So all of that is called allocation of cost. Okay, we have an appendix F which contains 5 flowcharts and accompanying tables depicting the steps in the cycle and the control in each step for an organization large enough to have an optimal segregation of duties. So this is the flowchart which we are never going to understand. Fine, let me see, is that appendix F here only? Okay, we don't have it here. Okay, yeah. Okay. In a small and medium sized organization, some duties must be combined and all that. So anyways, this is the flow chart. They are talking about the work, how it is supposed to be done. We already discussed while discussing this. While discussing this, we already discussed that which information has to move and in which order it will move. Everybody will not have access to everything. Fine. So limited access as per the profile, as per the work that you have to do, you will get. Then ERP, so study unit 8 subunit 2 has detailed coverage. Fine, we'll go there and we'll do. We already did a little bit of that here. Fine. Then databases and database management system. Fine. DBMS, database management system. What is the database? Where you keep collection of data, where you keep all the data. Now data in the database are integrated to eliminate redundancy of data items. Fine, a single integrated system allows for improved data accessibility. Basically, like, here what they are trying to say is that if you have got some data, that should be updated, otherwise there will be repetitions, and then there will be, like, the data will get redundant. For example, if I got, like, someone's data in 2015, that these are the students in class 12, all right, If I don't change that okay, these guys have joined, these guys will not join, remove it, fine. So what will happen over the period of time? I will have too many numbers and I will not know that how many people out of all of that are still in class 12. Fine, that is eliminate redundancy. If I don't keep on updating the data, right, it will become a problem. Now, a DBMS, database management system, is an integrated set of computer programs. Fine. So basically, these are some programs which will create the database, maintain the database, safeguard the data from loss or destruction, and make the data available to applications, programs, and inquiries. So now this is a database management system where you will create some computer programs which will help you in doing all these activities in regard to data. Fine. A DBMS allows programmers and designers to work independently of the technical structure of the database. Like basically you don't have to get into too involved in the technical structure of the database. Still you can get the data. That is what DBMS does. Fine. Like through an application they'll make a query kind of inquiries kind of stuff. So if you want to know something, you just type it in this segment, and then the system, the program will find it out for you. You don't have to scroll all of that. Fine. So you don't have to get into understanding the technical structure of the database. You will get what you want. Fine. Before the DBMS, design and coding programs that used database was extremely time consuming and therefore expensive. Then provide a common language for referring to databases. Easing the design and coding application, include security features. Like I think they're talking about the old database and the new database. I don't think that is too important. And if you'll read, you'll just understand. The new ones are more advanced and more user friendly. The term database often include the DBMS. Fine. So when you are saying database, now it is like somewhat equal to DBMS, because now basically they were trying to say that nobody creates data without DBMS. Databases and the associated DBMSs permit efficient storage and retrieval of data for formal system application. They also permit increased access to data as well as updating of files by transaction processing. Okay, these increased capabilities, however, result in increased cost because they require the use of sophisticated hardware, sophisticated software, highly trained people, increased security controls. But actually, see, the benefits are more bigger and greater than the cost. That's why, these things are too common these days. Okay, too early database structures. Too early database structure. So what are these? See, storing all related data on one storage device creates security problems. Should hardware or software malfunctions occur or unauthorized access be achieved, the result could be disastrous. In this system, I don't know what too early database structure is. Greater emphasis on security is required to provide backup and restrict access. For example, the system may employ dual logging, that is, use of two transaction logs written simultaneously on separate storage media. It may also use a snapshot technique to capture data values before and after the transaction processing. They're talking about this too early database structure and they haven't informed, like they haven't given anything about this. Maybe these were the early stages of database structures. Okay. Relational database structure. A relational structure organizes data in a conceptual arrangement. Okay, relational, right? So obviously it will be in a relative format where one thing will relate to another, and there will be something which will make sense. There will be a logical pattern. See, the individual data item is called a field or column. Related fields are brought together in a record or row. Fine. So related fields. If you have used filter in Excel, okay, so that kind of thing. Multiple records make up a file or table. So many things, many informations will be recorded in the file or table. Tables can be joined or linked based on common fields. And then every record in a table has a field designated as the key. Okay, I think you have to read this relational database structure because it is a specific thing, and the definition, I mean, the explanation of that is given, that how it should be. Note that in a relational structure, each data element is stored as few times as necessary. As few times as necessary. Relational database. This is accomplished through process of normalization. Normalization basically prevents inconsistent deletion, insertion, and updating of data items. Fine. This is a process of normalization which ensures all these things. The relational structure requires careful planning, but it is easy to maintain and process queries efficiently. Fine. If things are connected and one thing will lead to another, fine. So it will be easy, but then while putting things in that order, it will take some time. It will take, like, some careful planning of it. Okay. The three basic operations in a relational model are selecting, joining, and projecting. So selecting creates a subset of records. Joining is the combining of relational tables. Basically, see, this means if you have, if you have done an input, fine, you have a electronic shop, so computer sales, fine. So computer sales, how many, whatever is the number of times you have put computer sales, all of that will be clubbed together. So first they will select computer sales, then it will combine all this related sales, fine, and then it will project, it will present the information. All right, that what is the total sale of computers from this electronic store. Fine. Two features that make the relational data structure stand out are cardinality and referential integrity. So first, cardinality refers to how close a given data element is to being unique. Fine. A data element can only exist once a given table has high cardinality. There are two words, cardinal and ordinal. Fine. Now, this we have done in economics. How are they putting this? Cardinal refers to how close a given data elements is being to unique. One second. Here it is being used in the same format or not, that is what now I'm confused with. I don't think it is being used, in the normal sense of the word. Cardinality refers to how close a given data element is to being unique. So if a data element can only exist once in a given table, has high cardinality. The data element that is not unique in a given table but that has a restricted range of possible values is said to have normal cardinality. Okay. The data element that has a very small range of values is said to have a low cardinality. So cardinality basically is uniqueness. If it is unique, it is high cardinality. If it exists once, if it can exist for more than once, normal, and if it is very less, then low cardinality. Anyways, a field that can contain only male, female, or true, false is an example of this. Fine. So either it can be true or it can be false. So that will be I think high cardinality for this. No, we'll have low cardinality because two options are there. Only two. If you have more than two options, it will be normal, and if you have only one, that will be high cardinality. Referential integrity means that for a record to be entered in a given table, there must already be a record in some other table. Fine. Referential integrity, the number that you are putting, see, if you are typing in the number, maybe you can do some typing error. All right. So it should, if you are putting a reference of some other cell or from some other table, fine, that is referential integrity. There the number has been checked, so we are expecting that the numbers are not getting mixed up in between. The tremendous advantage of a relational data structure is that searching for record is greatly facilitated. Okay, this is good because again these are all relational related to each other. A distributed database is stored in two or more physical sites using either replication or partition. So replication means you copy the data and keep it in two places. Partitioning means half of the data here and half of the data there. Fine. So if you combine, you can get the full data. Additional terminology, the database administrator, DBA, fine, is the individual who has overall responsibility for developing and maintaining the database and for establishing controls to protect its integrity. Fine. So administrator is the guy who is in charge of the database. Fine. Overall responsibility for developing, maintaining, and establishing controls. Fine. Thus, only the DBA should be able to update data dictionaries. Okay. The responsibility for creating, maintaining, and all this to redefining the structure belongs to the DBA. That I think they have already like made clear here only. Fine. What is data dictionary? Here we are talking about. See, the DBA should be able to update data dictionary. What is data dictionary? That is a file that describes the physical and logical characteristics of every data element in the database. All right. So these are important like things. I think if you do repeat the process, if you do the reading, fine. So I hope these things will or should come easy to you. Fine. The data dictionary includes, for example, the name of the data element, the amount of disk space required, and what kind of data is allowed in the data element, alphanumeric or like alphabet or numerical, what. Fine. So that is the data dictionary, basically the explanation of the cell, that what are things which are allowed to be in there. Thus, this dictionary contains the size, format, usage, meaning, ownership, everything. This greatly simplifies the programming process. Now, data for a relational database can be displayed in graphs and reports, changed and otherwise controlled using a program called Query Management Facility, QMF. The schema is the description. I think again the sub schema, the database mapping facility, object oriented database. All right. I think this is complete reading because it is not making sense. And here basically it is like the terminology, and I think mostly that is why it's not making sense, because they are explaining the terms. What is QMF? What is schema, sub schema? What is the database mapping facility? Fine. Do the readings. You will get direct questions from here. If you recognize, if you can just find that this looks closer, you will be able to click the correct answer hopefully. Okay. Then it is a big, yeah, I think here finally. Okay. So following technologies are replacing OLAP, which is in-memory analytics and search engine technology. Fine. So in-memory analytics is a process that queries data stored directly in the computer's memory, as opposed to querying data located on the computer's internal or external storage devices. Search engine technology stores data at a document transactional level. Okay. And data is not pre-aggregated. Okay. Yeah. This is better though, because here what they are saying is that in this OLAP system, fine, the data will be collected, it will already be aggregated and arranged. In search engine, what they are saying, that the data will be collected at the transactional or document level. Now when you have a query, when you will ask for something, then it will all be aggregated or presented, whatever it is. Fine. It will not be arranged in that format in the database. Okay. Data warehouse contains not only current operating data but also historical information from throughout the organization. Thus, data from all operational systems are integrated, consolidated, and standardized. Fine, in an organization-wise database, which data are copied periodically. These data are maintained on one platform that can be read but not changed. So data warehouse is basically where all the information from all operational systems are integrated, are kept in one place. Data cleansing cleans up data in the database that is incorrect, incomplete, or duplicated, because if too many information are coming from too many sources, obviously there will be duplications. Okay, data mining is facilitated by a data warehouse. Data mining, which is covered thoroughly in sub study unit, this is the process of analyzing data from different perspectives and summarizing it into useful information. All right, data mining software ordinarily is used. Now the data mart is a subset of the data warehouse that can be tailored to user data requirement. Like for example, you have all the data, but then there is some data which is required on daily basis, so you need to access it over and over again. So you can create a data mart inside the data warehouse where you will keep the most relevant or most usable data, fine, which you are accessing on daily basis, and you will leave the remaining to be in the data warehouse and not in the data mart. It's the best example is this subset. It's a subset of the data warehouse. You are making another room in a big room, making another space. Enterprise performance management, we have done resource planning. Now we are talking about performance management, also known as corporate. This is associated with business intelligence and ERP, budgeting and forecasting, financial reporting, and all these things. So performance management will be evaluated through this. With ERP, what are we doing? We were doing the resource planning. Resources, material, labor, all right, the employees, the assets, these are the resources of the enterprises. With ERP, you are trying to manage them. You are trying to plan their work efficiently. Here, you are trying to see enterprise performance management. All right. So you are trying to evaluate the performance. Now, horrible. If I don't speak fast, I'll sleep, it seems.
والله it's a horrible chapter.
It is. And this chapter number 16 is also, I'm expecting something like this. I'm speaking too fast only because if I start speaking slowly, I myself will sleep while speaking.
Well, I don't know how they will examine us for this thing. It's really horrible stuff.
Yes, but
See,
this is
the clue is that this is 15%, all right? And here you just have to read it 2-3 times, fine, so that when you get the questions, you will be able to put the right click. Okay, here
Hopefully.
luck will matter, and here it is all about, what do you say, your strength. Fine, this is all about that, how much powerful you are. Can you survive reading this 2-3 times? If you survive, then you should get 15% of the marks, don't worry. Fine.
this is still better than the other one
The last one.
chapter. No, these are still better than the this first 4 chapters. Actually, this
Okay.
chapter 2 is half part is understandable, but when it comes to investments and securities, it just goes over your head. They're doing it so fast and not
Yeah.
walking
Yeah.
through in detail.
But I mean, still, for me, I found okay, as a student, you may have that, but I still found that there was something to tell about it. Now here, it is what is DBA? This is DBA. Now what else should I tell you that you will feel good and better about it? Because
No,
See,
this is
leader,
understandable. Like I can link it with like real life
yeah,
examples.
that is the only way out of this. If you can link it with something you have seen, like, happening around you, somebody doing all this IT work is a good friend of yours and you have seen him working, you will relate to some things. Otherwise, it is like
Wallah.
completely, something about moon and Mars.
No, no, this is
Wallah.
like the new norm. Like I'm trying to,
Yeah,
get in this.
that is true. That is true. It is like the new norms. Without this, like, I expect, like, in the coming 5 more years, it will be more
5 4 years. I'm saying
complicated.
maybe before 2022. Like yesterday or day before yesterday, I was just looking at something. EY careers in Australia.
Okay.
Okay, there were 71
Yeah.
consulting vacancies, out of which 59 were data analysts.
Alhamdulillah.
Can you imagine?
This
And
is
there was main request is like a job in the job description was also to challenge the status quo to adopt the new requirements.
Alhamdulillah. Very good.
It was in the job responsibility. You can check. I'm not making this up from my side. From my
I get it. I get it. So this is true. This is true that, like, now this is the new norm. Now there is no job, no business without this.
like now, if you say you are in consulting or something, they expect you to know all these query languages and
Yeah.
understand the ERPs and all that stuff.
Anyways, let's continue. Let's try to finish this.
I just want to add one more thing. When we finish this one, please keep 1 or 2 classes for revision of which Bundu also said, like first
One,
2 chapters or
one to
maybe
four, right?
second
Yeah, 1 to 4
one
only.
to four. But I okay, it is there. But if you have time issue, my personal perspective is half of the chapter 2 actually from the securities part. Other
Okay.
accounts receivable I understood, but the securities is like just
No problem. No
I
problem.
did the
Now
exam
see,
today
I
and
think I think you guys are having your exams, almost all of you are having your exams by the end of August, right?
yes.
Fine, fine. First of all, let's see. First, I want to finish this thing because, like, now I am in the most horrible part of CMA.
Okay,
Fine.
okay.
I
Let's
feel myself I am sinking in this. So I'll try, or let's see, because now I think I'll go a little bit more fast on this. There's no
Okay.
point like reading each and every line. All right. Now I'll see wherever it makes sense for me. Like, if I have something to add, I will do that, or else I will just go through the pages. I'll ask you guys to read, and then we can utilize that time in doing something where I can be of some value. Fine, because I think I'm just, like, I'm reading and explaining like words. Okay, this is this, this is that. That's it. All right.
Yes.
Okay. This is like, anyways, this is one of the reason why people find P2 little bit easier than this, because there is too much of theory in this one. Anyways, now see, data governance and risk. So what are the risks regarding this and what is data governance? So organizations need to be aware of the unique risk associated with computer-based business info, IT security or cyber security. Is information security applied to computer hardware? Safe computing can be achieved by usually carefully crafted policies and procedures, fine, and antivirus and access control software. So anybody will not be able to access your computer, so they will not get access to the softwares and all that stuff. The most comprehensive indicator of an information system compliance with prescribed procedure is the control the system has over the data. Fine. So if the data can be accessed from for everyone or not. Then system availability, the availability to make use of any computer based system is dependent on the interrupted flow. All right, very good. Electricity should be there. There shouldn't be any fire or water close to it. Unauthorized alterations can be avoided. So do the reading. Volatile transaction trails. Volatile transaction trails. In a computer-based environment, the complete trail useful for audit purposes might exist. Fine. The trail, I hope you understand where one thing leads to another. For only a short time or in only computer readable form. So it should exist only for a short time or readable form. In online and real-time systems, data are entered directly into the computer, eliminating portions of the audit trail traditionally provided by source documents. Fine. So that is like, volatile transaction trail. Volatile means like too much of fluctuation is there. So in these kind of trails, what happens is that the trails are wiped out, cleared, fine, so that nobody can trace it back to the source. Decreased human involvement, obviously with all these databases and data governance, less human involvement, less chances of error. Uniform processing of transaction. So since we are talking about like, input and like, processing of the transaction, so the input and the processing, fine, has to be uniform. This is why when we are doing accounts, we write journal entries. Why don't you put the transaction? Why don't you write the language? Because the double entry system will not be able to understand. Fine. So the uniform language is journal. Journal is the raw material, fine, that you put into the double entry system and you get the trial balance from the other side. All right. So uniform processing means there should be uniformity in the method you are doing the entry, and the processing, the CPU, the machinery which is inside also should process the transactions in a uniform way in order to get a reliable data. Unauthorized access, there must be unauthorized, okay, this must be stopped. Fine. When accounting records were kept in pen and ink, physical access to them was the only way to carry out an alteration. Fine. Once they become computer based, however, access can be gained by parties both internal and external to the organization. Fine. Security measures such as firewall and user ID password should be used to avoid this. Unauthorized access should be avoided. Earlier, in pen and paper, if you can physically reach the files, you can, like, to the register and all that, you can do some changes. Otherwise, you cannot. But in computer based, if you can hack the system, fine, then also you can change the accounting records. Data vulnerability, destruction of hardware devices or unit of storage media could have disastrous consequences if they contain the only copies of data. All right. For this reason, it is vital that the like all these things should be duplicated and is stored into 3 places and is stored off-site periodically. Fine, off-site. So like somewhere away from the office. That if something happens to the office, still the data can be brought back. Reduced segregation of duties. So many functions once performed by separate individuals may be combined in an automated environment. Receiving cash, issuing a receipt, preparing deposit slip, preparing journal entry may once have been performed by separate individuals. In a computer based, the receipt, deposit, journal may be automatically generated by the computer. Fine, like if we are following computer based, actually what happens is that you just need to receive the cash. All right. And like, you write that I have received so much of cash, and then the rest of the things computer will do. So the internal control that we wanted, and because of which we were like advocating the idea of segregation of duties, right, with a computer based system, that has reduced, because the moment you do an entry that I have received this much of cash, everything else is done by the computer itself. Fine. If the same employee who receives the cash is also responsible for entering the relevant data in the system, the potential for fraud or error is increased. So basically, if the guy who is receiving the cash and the guy who is doing the entry, if both are same, then there is chance of fraud. Fine. If someone else is receiving the cash, informing you, and you are doing the data entry, that is the only differentiation we can have. That is the only segregation we can have in a computer based system. Reduced individual authorization of transaction. So individual authorization of transaction. One guy will not do the authorization. There will be two, three places from which you need authorization. This will reduce the chances of any, like, of any damage or breach. Do the reading. Then malicious software, obviously this malware and all that stuff, if they get into the system, that will be a problem. Overview of COBIT. Now, COBIT is the best known control and governance framework that addresses information technology. It is original version. In its original version, COBIT was focused on control for specific IT processes. Over the year, information technology has gradually pervaded every facet of the organization operation. IT can no longer be viewed as a function distinct from other aspects of the organization. Okay, has reflected the change. Fine. Now, COBIT, when originally published in 1996, this was an acronym for Control Objective for Information and Related Technology. Okay, COBIT 2019. The most recent version was published in 18 by ISSCA, formerly known as Information System Audit and Control Association. So it is available here. You guys can go and find and do some reading. All right, information criteria. What is the criteria for information? It should be effective. It should be efficient. Fine. It should be confidential. All of these things are easy to understand. The integrity should be there. So many people are involved in putting in the data. So what are the chances that the data can be corrupt? If it is high, then there is no integrity. If it is low, that whatever data I'm getting, it, like, most of the time, or it is correct, I can have that kind of expectation. Then it is said that the information has integrity. Availability, fine. Compliance, reliability, all of these like are different criteria for information. Easy to understand. I think you guys can do the reading from there. Data governance focus area. So what are the areas which data governance is going to focus? See, strategic alignment. The data which we are providing should be aligned to the strategic management level and operational, no, strategic, tactical, operational, all of that was there, right? So the data should match with the strategic point or strategic focus of the company itself. All right, whatever we have decided, it should be according to that. Value delivery is concerned with implementing the value proposition throughout the delivery cycle. Fine. It ensures that IT delivers the promised benefits while concentrating on optimizing cost and proving the intrinsic value of IT. Fine. Point number C, resource management. So resource management deals with the optimal investment in and the proper management of critical IT resources. Resource management. Fine. It deals with what? Fine. Investment and management of IT resources. IT risk is the risk associated with the use, ownership, like all of this, anything related to IT which can go wrong. Fine. Adoption of IT within an organization. Risk management includes risk awareness by senior management, knowledge of compliance requirement, transparency about the risk, and embedding risk management responsibilities into the entity structure. Right? Too much of heavy words, but I think if you read 2-3 times, like, you will get something out of it. If we start discussing this, one paragraph will take too much time. Fine. What is risk awareness? Knowledge of compliance requirement, transparency about risk. So, like, it will take too much time. Performance measurement tracks and monitors the entire process, including strategy implementation, completion of project, resource usage, and cost measures. Fine. Performance measurement of the information of the data we are talking about, right? So we should see how much of resource we are using, see resource usage and cost measures. Fine. We should see all of this in accordance with the data, that the data which we are getting and the cost that we have to pay. So is it like matching or good? performance measurement. We should check that our methods are performing good or not. Fine. Okay. So here COBIT defines IT data activities in a generic process model within 4 processes: plan and organize, acquire and implement, deliver and support, monitor and evaluate. Okay. So the data should be modeled in these 4 processes. It should be divided, the discussion should be divided in these 4 or processes. One is like plan and organize, acquire and implement, deliver and support, and then monitor and evaluate. Do the reading, you guys will feel good. Data resources will be application, information, infrastructure and people. Key principles. Okay, I think from here, yeah, yeah. Okay. Fine. So key principles for COBIT are like this. Principle 1, meeting stakeholders' needs. All right. So now this asserts that value creation is the most basic stakeholder need. Fine. Thus, the creation of a stakeholder value is the fundamental goal of any enterprise. Value creation in this model achieved by balancing 3 components: realization of benefits, optimization of risk, optimal use of resources. All right. So if you can do these 3 things, that means you are successful in creating value. And it's very good also, because see, risk and return, right? These 2 things always go hand in hand. You cannot talk about only the return, realization of benefit, without talking about the risk. Fine. So risk and return, and then we are talking about optimal use of the resources, means the asset utilization. Now, COBIT 5 also recognizes that stakeholders' needs are not fixed. This keeps on moving. They evolve. Fine. So both they evolve under the influence of both internal factors and external factors. Okay, these factors are collectively referred to as the stakeholder driver. In response to the identified stakeholder needs, enterprise goals are established. Okay, I think I'm again reading. Please do the reading. Covering, I think this is whole reading stuff. This is like too much. What are we going to finish on COBIT only? No. And data life cycle, data publication. This is again, see this whole thing. Fine. Data life cycle. The life cycle consists of phase, and each phase has its own characteristics. 7 phases in the life of the data. What are they? Data capture is to obtain the data. Then data maintenance. How are you going to preserve that data? How are you going to keep it with you? Fine. Data synthesis and analytics. Fine. So you have to analyze this. So you have to put it in this way, in different rows and columns. Manipulation of the data. However, whenever you require it, it has to be changed accordingly in the system, right? So that is your synthesis and analytics. Then data usage, when it is required, you take out that data and you try to derive an information out of it. That is the use of data. Fine. Information means process data. Fine. That is the usage of data. Then data publication. Data publication refers to sending of the data to a location outside the organization. Fine. Monthly statements to customers. That is you publish the data that you have got. Fine. Publication. Then data archival means now how you are going to segregate this published data and how you are keep with yourself. Then data purging. At the end of the life, every copy of a data item is removed from the enterprise. This is typically done from the archive. So you have the archive, from there all of this is removed, disposed of, destroyed, deleted, whatever you can say. Fine. Record retention policy. How can we have a record retention policy? Let's read. Fine. Because this is like company to company stuff, right? How long will a company keep the record? I don't think we have a fixed rule or law for that. So it is important for every organization to have a formal record retention policy Sometime if it is referred to records management policy, which provides for the retention and periodic destruction. Okay, so every company will have their own rule. Keeping and maintaining too many records, okay, it's a problem, a storing issue and all that. So fine, obviously this is required. For some type of document, there are minimum retention period imposed by law, such as those related to tax and employees. Fine. See, every company will have their own policy. There are few kind of records which are required by law. All right, like for example, again, okay, here I think they have given tax records must be kept at least 7 years. In India, it is 8 years. Fine, whatever audited records you have got, you have to keep the last 8 years of records. Fine. After that, you can dispose of, no problem. So here they have mentioned 7. Maybe in US they go for 7 years. Fine. What I'm saying is, see, a company may have its own policy. Fine. One is like, those kind of data for which there is no law, there is no rule. So you make your own rule. All right. I will update my system every 7 years. So like, after 7 years, whatever data I have from before 7 years, I'll remove that. I will keep the last 7 years of data and I'll keep on moving forward. Fine. That is your personal choice. Fine. Because what kind of data we are talking about, it's not mentioned. You can choose to keep the data forever. You can choose to put an end to it, put a life to it. Then there are few data for which the government has made law for you. All right. For example, see tax records. All right. So they are saying that you should keep last 7 years of your tax records. Why it is like that? Because see, there must be a rule, right? Like in this country, in this place, you can be asked for if there is any, like, if there is some issue, some fraud or some error which is being suggested in the last 5 years of your accounts. So as per rule, they can ask you to bring last, like, last 5 years of accounts to be checked again. All right. But if anybody is suspecting that 20 years back I did some fraud, all right, in my tax payment, the government also, the court also cannot ask me to produce the files for like rechecking, for scrutiny again, because I don't have it. I can clearly say that I have already thrown out all that. I don't have any of them. Okay. If record needs for a particular legal case, fine. This will case have been destroyed pursuant to a well-established record retention policy that is routinely complied with. Often the court may assume the organization complied with its duty. For example, if you need the documents which you have already, like, destroyed as per your normal record retention policy, the court will also not do anything if they don't have a specific law for it. Okay. All right. Now we are here with this POSO framework, and I hope you remember this diagram, right? Requirement of effective control.
Hello.
All right. Yes, I want to give you guys a homework. Okay.
Okay.
These last 3 pages, POSO. We already did this in some chapter. Again, it is given here. Fine.
Chapter 13, yes.
Please go ahead and do the reading. Right. That is it for today.
Okay.
All right. Please do
Alright.
this reading. Fine. Maybe it is 9:10 right now. Our time was till 10. So sit down for the next 30 minutes, read this and then leave. Otherwise, you will feel holiday. I mean, you will feel off and then maybe you will not read it. So 3 pages. Please go ahead and do this. Finish this. Okay.
Alright. Okay.
So we are left with one chapter. I'll try to finish that in the next class so that we can quickly start with the revision part.
Okay. Sure.
Fine. Yeah. That is it, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll
Bye-bye.
have class till this month end, right?